So
what do you got for us?
This time we are going to rank iconic Star Wars moments.
Ooh, okay.
Yes. We're going to rank iconic Star Wars moments. So there's basically going to be a picture of a scene, and I'm going to throw it up there, and we are going to try to rapid fire these as best we can to try to fit them in a tier, right? Some are good, some are bad. We will just have to wait and see where they go. Okay. So Tyler, are you ready?
Absolutely. Let's do this.
Number 1. Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber.
Okay. So now hold on, because we need some criteria here for how we're ranking this. Is this based on rewatchability now? Or is it based on emotional impact? Is it based on the legacy within, you know what I mean?
Everything. We are not
everything. Okay.
More. Okay.
Okay.
So, gut feeling. Where would you place this?
Gut feeling, I mean, it'd have to be high. I'd say somewhere between an S and a B. The reason I wouldn't give it an S is because the lightsaber duel definitely does not hold up anymore.
Yeah,
right?
I completely agree. Yep.
Okay, so like in the comments where Jedi John saying B, like I think that's fair, right? I mean, I think right where it's at is probably not bad because you're not going to rank it low. It's too important of a scene in the movies, right?
Yeah.
To rank below that, it's just.
I would agree.
But when you stack it up amongst all the other duels, it doesn't hold up as well. But it's still just too important to rank lower than that. So I agree. Jedi John's probably right. Yep.
Okay, are we good there then?
Yeah.
Solid B. Okay. Next, we've got Dooku Yoda.
Okay. Why don't you take this one?
Okay, I'm gonna say this is an A moment, and the only reason it's not an S moment is because it's just too short.
Couldn't agree more. Now, that's exactly where I'd place that.
Yeah, and maybe that's not the only reason. Also, because we don't know the history between Yoda and Dooku, so we didn't know. There's no buildup. It's not like we were thinking, man, what if Yoda and Dooku face off? We weren't thinking that. We got it, and it was great. Yep. And then they have that one-off line to try to tie them together where Yoda talks about Dooku being a former Padawan of his to try to tie them together. So it's like there isn't the emotional stakes and the scene is too short, but it's still so epic. I get goosebumps watching it every single time to me that it warrants an A. Any opposition to that?
Yeah, I'd say no. I'd say that's right. Looks like we're getting agreement in the chat as well for A. I would completely agree because this one, it's so good for the time that it's on there. That's like, this has to be towards the top just because it's one of the most epic lightsaber duels. But I would agree it lacks the emotional impact and it definitely is too short. So no way it could be S, A, or B. I'm totally good with A because I love that moment.
Okay, next, ready. I have the high ground.
I mean, that's a D. Worst moment. Well, now hold on. Is this the lightsaber duel between Obi-Wan?
No.
Or this is just the high ground moment?
This is the I have the high ground moment because the actual duel itself is also on there.
Okay, I was going to say, because if this is just the duel, then that's a whole nother thing.
This is just I have the high ground. And so I'll take this one too and run with it. I'm going to say this is a C. Now, because the high ground, we talked about this before on the channel, is to me the dumbest way they could have ended one of the best Star Wars, lightsaber duel ever. Right. I have the high ground. Anakin could have just jumped on the hill and kept fighting. It's so stupid, and I absolutely hate it. The only reason it's not a D is because Ewan McGregor's acting in that moment is really great, and that's the only reason I wouldn't give it an absolute D. So I'm going to say C. What do you think?
I could go with that. Yeah, it's really, I think they could have thought of so many other things that could have made that better. Because obviously I get the idea behind it. They wanted Anakin's arrogance to be his undoing, to be in an unwinnable situation and to still just do it anyway and lose. But man, the way they set up the shots and where they actually were, it just didn't feel believable, which really kind of takes you out of what was otherwise, which we'll get to, an unbelievable duel. And looks like Jedi John says C as well. I think that's totally fair.
All right, so here we go. We're trucking right along. Moving on. Next up, we are going to grab. Here we go. The throne room scene.
Okay.
Kylo and Rey versus the Praetorian guards in Snoke's throne room. You go first on this one.
So this one definitely, like, visually, I love the Red Room. I love the look of the Praetorian Guards, their weapons and stuff. Super cool. So visually, absolutely stunning. Choreography definitely leaves something to be desired. And it's one of those ones where if you ever see the slow-mo breakdowns, it definitely hurts it.
Oh, it'll ruin it for you. If you haven't seen it, I would say don't watch it. Like, literally.
Yeah, just don't.
If you have not seen the slow-mo breakdown of how horribly choreographed that scene is, don't watch it because it will ruin it for you.
It will. Like, seriously, just don't do it. Because then when you watch it in real time, then you notice those things now. It's like,
and
now
you're like,
it sticks
oh, it's
out.
so awful. Yeah,
it's like one of those optical illusion things where, like, once you see it, you just can't unsee it. Like, now your brain just knows it's there.
You can't unsee it.
And so now when I know how some of these guards are acting, what they're doing, you're like, oh, crap. It just takes you out every time. So that definitely hurts it on the list. So I don't know, where should it be placed? I mean, to me, it's definitely not an A or an S. So I think, where do you think it should fall?
I would put this down as a C moment. And to me, the only reason, again, it's not a D is because of the cool visual effects. Again, like you said, I like the Red Room. The Praetorian Guards are okay. I think there's 8 of them on the 2, them working together.
And I think they look cool. Like the initial, like them closing in and encroaching on the scene, like, oh, it's really cool. I just think, unfortunately, the choreography was, let's just say, a bit lacking. It's still very cool visually.
Watching the slow-mo breakdown has ruined that scene for me because there's like one point where Rey just like kicks her foot and like 3 guards go flying as if like, and they weren't even in the vicinity of her foot. And it's like, what? Like, I'm telling you, like, I just can't watch
We're
that
already ruining
cringing
it for
now.
people because now I want to say other scenes too. Like there's a guard that just like randomly attacks the ground for no reason and then spins away when they're. But we're ruining it for it. We're ruining it for everyone. Let's stop. Let's give it I think it's a C. I think it's a good C.
Okay, it's a C. Again, if you disagree, put it in the chat. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Get in the comments. Tell us where you think these should be.
We've been poisoned on that one. We've seen the slow-mo breakdowns of how horribly choreographed that scene is. We just can't get past it. All right, let's keep going.
Okay.
Next up, I'm going to skip this one with Anakin and Obi-Wan because we just did that one. So let's move here. How about this? The Imperial Walkers, seeing the Imperial Walkers for the first time on Hoth.
Oh man, I mean, that's got to be high. When the Walkers first show up, that's like burned in my memory.
It's basically the debut of the Walkers on Hoth. Yes.
Man, oh man, that's got to be an S or an A to me. I mean, maybe not an S since it's not like an epic duel that we're gonna see, which to me are even bigger moments. But I could see it being an S because to me, like especially for all of Empire Strikes Back, it's like, man, that is such a memorable moment. Those lumbering beasts in the background. I'd rank this high. I'd probably give this probably an A. But where do you fall? Maybe a little lower?
Yeah, I'm still thinking like a C for some of that. It's like, the Walkers are cool. Seeing them on Hoth was really cool. And, but it's like, it's just the Walkers, the Walkers in the snow. Walkers are cool. And, they sold a lot of toys and they're really cool looking and they're unique. But I mean, to think that seeing an Imperial Walker to me is the same as Yoda versus Dooku, or, you know what I mean? Is like, I could arguably even make the argument that it's a D as far as being an iconic moment. Like it's cool, but is it an iconic moment? I'd say not really. It's a C or a D probably.
That's where I would disagree. So I would say, and so John says solid B. That's where I'd be. So like definitely not an S. It's not cool enough for that. To me, I'm kind of thinking iconic moment as opposed to like what would I rewatch a bunch now? Obviously, I'd rather watch Yoda versus Dooku. But iconic moment, seeing those walkers lumbering in the background. I mean, that was just mind-blowing. You think back in the 80s when that was first released, that blew people's minds. The stop animation just looks perfect. There's something so menacing about seeing those walkers approach. I'd say that's a very iconic scene. So yeah, I'd say, do you think it's a B? John agrees it's a B. I could see that. Let's go with B. I think that's very solid.
For the sake of time, I will allow that to stay as a B and give it to you guys and move on.
Let's do it.
So we're going to leave it there. How about this one? We're going to pull this one up here. The unmasking of Darth Vader.
Okay. Where do you fall on this one here?
To me, this is an S tier moment.
Ooh.
Seeing Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi, having his mask removed, the music, the soft music, as he asks to look on Luke with his own eyes. You take off the helmet, you see what he looks like. the breathing as he tells him that he was right. And, you know, Luke just, again, that's just, it's one of those moments, the unmasking of Vader. So I'm going to say S tier.
I could see that. But then again, if you're comparing it to other things, so like you said, that's way cooler than say Dooku versus Yoda. You think that's way cooler?
Not cooler, iconic.
More iconic. Yeah, I could absolutely see that. I mean, I'd probably put it as an A, but I could see an S. Yeah, I mean, if that's what you think.
I can live with it. I can live with it as an A, but I think it's no lower than an A. I mean, the ending of Return of the Jedi, seeing who Darth Vader is, having the mask removed.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, maybe that should absolutely be an S. That's tough.
Well, I think we can leave it there at an A. We can leave it there, right?
Okay, you think A? Okay, well, we'll leave it there for now. Again, we can always adjust. Sometimes once you kind of get more out there, it starts to bring the picture a little bit clearer how we should move these around. Okay, well, what's next?
Let's do
this is fun. These are cool doing the moments like this. This is neat.
And there's tons of these. So the Rancor. So seeing the Rancor in Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi.
Okay, definitely cool. Obviously, it was a little more suspect back in the day. They've updated the animation quite a bit. Looks a little bit better how they've touched it up. But still, I mean, a very famous moment, the battle with the Rancor. Obviously, Justin, I mean, you might have a better feeling for that, given that you were just recently battled and lost to a Rancor. I mean, what was your take? Were they as scary in person? Like, what was that like?
Well, they are very scary in person. Yeah. They're about 16 feet tall, very menacing. Yeah. They do move awkwardly, though. They're not as smooth moving as you would think. Sure. But he caught me very quickly. And you know, Batista did not take my Luke Skywalker decoy whatsoever, snatched me up immediately. So
no, I mean, you kind of did the equivalent of a like I've got your nose move, and then just got eaten. I don't know what you were thinking there. So maybe next time, maybe serpentine. You know what I mean? You should start weaving or something.
Maybe.
You know, you saw what Luke did, get the bones in place. But okay, so you're gonna go with what you're thinking, like a D moment.
Okay, so no, I'm going to say
C. It's a D.
To me, D is going to be reserved only for the moments that are on this board, and there are some bad ones.
Sure.
That to me have no redeeming qualities, because there are things we like, things we don't like. We all like, you know, different scenes and storylines and things like that. Some people love the sequel, some people hate them. So it all depends. But for me, it's like, yeah, the Rancor's cool. Yeah. No reason not to hate the Rancor. No reason to love the Rancor. Kind of neat. It's a C. What do you think?
Yeah, but I think a C is better. I don't think it's a D, because I don't think it's that bad, especially if we're saying like the high ground versus the Rancor. It's like that's still a cool moment, very memorable, very iconic, but still a little more rough than almost any of the other cool moments in Empire Strikes Back, which had so many cool ones. So yeah, it looks like John thinking C as well. I think that's probably a really good place. I think C is better than that.
All right, let's go snag another one. And this time we are going to... Here, I want to grab one of my favorite ones that I saw.
Okay, let's see.
Here we go.
Oh, this is so cool. There's tons of them. Wow. Okay,
yeah, there's tons.
Great.
Here we go.
This is great. Okay.
Did you see that one?
Which one?
This one right here. Ben Solo and Rey kissing after...
Oh, man.
after she's revived.
Look at that.
The Rise of Skywalker kiss between a now good Ben Solo and Rey. Now, I am going to argue that this is a D. And
because it looks like that's what he's about to give her.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you. I'm Ben Swolo over here, just looking at that scene, if you know what I mean.
You've got those sexual puns just teed up, don't you? You got them ready to go.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I don't. He grabs his notepad and he scratches off the top two.
Yeah. You spend all night thinking of those, Tyler? No, I got to bed around 2:30.
Okay, okay, one, to me, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe other people sense this. To me, there was never any romantic chemistry between them. I mean, even like the take my side, rule by my side, to me, it seemed more of a Luke and Leia thing to me. It is really what this felt like.
And to me, it felt like a power thing. Like they could be so powerful together, rule by my side, and no one could stop us type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I agree.
she's revived, and they have a kiss, and then he dies, and it's like, ugh. And it reminds me of the what is his name? Ryan. I'm blanking on his name. Ryan George, the guy who does the pitch meetings.
Oh yeah.
And if you've ever seen the Rise of Skywalker pitch meeting, you should check out Ryan George if you've never seen him. He does pitch really meetings.
Fun. Yeah, he's good.
He does these little, like, a writer pitching a movie idea after the movie comes out to, like, the studio exec. And I remember the Rise of Skywalker pitch, and he's talking about, and then Ben brings her back to life, and the executive's like, oh, have him kiss. And he's like, what? And he's like, have him do a little kissy kiss. And they're like, well, I guess we could make him kiss. And he's like, make them kiss. And he's like, all right, they'll kiss.
Okay,
like,
jeez.
I'm just like, I just feel like this was so forced. So forced.
I completely agree. This does absolutely nothing for me. Totally flaccid watching this scene, and that's not what you want. So I would say for sure this is a D. Yeah.
All right. So good. We are in agreement there. Oh, here we go. Here's another good one here. We're going, it's a trap.
It's a trap. I mean, for iconic, can't be a D. It's got to be bumped up a little bit. Yep, for sure. But now, is it as iconic as Vader removing his helmet? I would say no. It's got to be below. Got to be below an A. Can't be a D. So I'm thinking we're looking at B or C. And Justin, what sector were the enemies in when Akbar noted that it was a trap?
Well, when he said that there are enemy fighters in Sector 47. Now, I believe that the reason 47. I had Sector 12 is because I believe it's earlier in the movie, someone makes a reference to Sector 12. And
I believe that's true.
That's where I got Sector 12 from.
Yeah, and for those unfamiliar, we do our live Star Wars trivia every Tuesday, and Justin, like an absolute idiot,
like a moron.
He messed up what sector the enemies were in when Akbar realized it was a trap. He said 12, and he said it as confident as I've ever seen him in my entire life. I had it written down. I always check my answers before stream, make sure I was right. I had checked live on stream to make sure that was the right sector, because he's like, oh, it's Sector 12. And I'm like, no, that's wrong. It's 47. He's like, no, you're wrong. And I'm like, okay, geez, wow, maybe I am. I could have written it down wrong. But no, Justin had messed it up like a dummy. And so it is Sector 47. That's must-know knowledge for any Star Wars fan.
Okay, Okay. Here is why it's a trap belongs as an A-tier moment. Because it's an absolutely iconic moment. It is something that has survived in the zeitgeist forever, to the point where it's almost like you could talk to your parents maybe who have maybe never even seen Star Wars or saw it years and years and years ago. And if you said, do you remember what Darth Vader looked like when they took his helmet off? They might be like, no. But then you could be like, do you remember? It's a trap. They'd be like, oh yeah, I remember that. It's a trap. People make fun of that all the time, constantly. People make reference to the "it's a trap" line by Akbar still all the time.
I mean, that's true. I mean that is fair. I don't know that I followed the do you remember what Darth Vader looks like? Yeah, I think people aren't very good at describing faces.
Analogy.
I'm going to say, because I feel like, people like that stuck with me when I was younger, watching Vader take off his mask and what he looked like, and that scene I was freaking locked onto. That was crazy, getting to see him for the first time in the mask. So I'd say, you definitely remember that. But I agree. I don't know. You're making a pretty good case that it's iconic. See, I was kind of thinking more of B. I don't know that I would put the "it's a trap" on par with because it's a great line that shows the shift in the battle.
That's all it is.
That's very quotable. But is that on par with Yoda versus Dooku and Vader taking off his helmet? My contention would be no. It's got to be lower than that. But it's still iconic. So I would say
yes.
I would go more with a B. That would be my feel.
Okay, and so I can live with it as a B. I do think it's, and again, we have to take all of these in the fact that there's no true way to rank these, because if everything is going to be Darth Vader or whatever, it's going to be hard to put anything in the same class when something gets into an S class. And I think we're being pretty conservative with all of our ratings, but I just think. For what it is, you have to take it for what it is. And what it is a one-off character that most people don't know who it is. That, even people who watch Star Wars might not even know who Admiral Akbar is. But I guarantee you, they know it's a trap. They know that line, and they've heard it a million times, and everybody uses it. And that's why I think it's iconic.
Yeah, no, I think you made a very strong case. Again, it looks like Jedi John is in there with B. That was kind of my feeling. But I think you made a very solid case for A. Again, I don't know. When I'm just looking at it, though, I wouldn't put it on par with the other ones. So, but it's up to you. I mean, we can go A or B there. I think either one would be sound. But to me, I just feel like, let's save that A tier. But I think you made a strong case that it should definitely be a high one.
Okay, we'll live with it in a B for now. So now we're moving on here. I just threw it up into S class so it's easier to see. This is literally Emperor Palpatine saying, "Do it." That's it. That's what this is. This is the line, one sentence. Emperor Palpatine, after being saved by Anakin, telling him to behead Count Dooku, saying, "Do it."
Right. So, I mean, this is another one. I mean, it's quotable. Sure. I mean, it's very
very quotable.
People do
very memeable. Yeah.
All the time. So it's memeable. People would remember that line. But I mean, I think if we have "It's a Trap," to me is a great, memorable line that has more impact than this one does. So I feel like I don't even know if it should be on par with that. So to me, I would say C or D, but I don't think it's a D. It's still like a cool, I don't know. What are you thinking? I'm thinking maybe C. Where are you feeling?
I think it's a C line. And again, it should be a D moment, but I think the only reason it's not is because it's just so memeable. And again, like it's just so popular. And when you're a Star Wars fan and you just say, "Do it," everybody knows exactly what you're talking about.
And it's still in reference to a very scene where he cuts off Dooku's head and stuff, as opposed to like what we have in D right now, where it's the kiss that I think most people were kind of like, "Oh yeah, that just seemed completely unnecessary." This was a great moment where his like Sith is coming out a little bit. "Do it." I mean, it's just so memeable, quotable. Okay, what do we got? Okay, in the chat there is consensus a C. I think C is a very comfortable spot. Let's go with that.
All right. Oh, this is a great one. Let's pull this one out here.
What do we got here? Is that Phasma versus Finn?
We have Finn versus Phasma.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you take it. What are you feeling?
What's up, Chrome Dome?
Chrome Dome? All in chromium, got from a Naboo. Yeah, it was a Naboo ship that Palpatine owned, right?
Yes, it was Palpatine's
that
yacht.
she made her armor out of. Yeah. All right, so you take it away. Where are you thinking? Where are you feeling?
This is a D moment.
A D moment.
A D moment. Yeah.
Let's hear your explanation.
Well, one, Captain Phasma was an interesting character that was definitely underutilized, and I hated the way that they did Finn and Phasma's progression. That it's just like they don't really have much between them, and it's not like Phasma, like they fight and Phasma wins, but then Finn gets stronger and he trains, and then he, to a stalemate, and then it's like he's just a stormtrooper, just a regular stormtrooper, and then he just defeats her. And the line Chrome Dome and just
you're not a big fan of the puns, Justin. You're not a pun guy. But I could have sworn yesterday you were talking about how Mr. Freeze.
Forever. No, leave that Batman Forever where it belongs.
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. Leave
best
those
Batman ever made.
and Robin where they belong.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
I get you. Man, I don't know.
Like, okay, now here's the thing here.
That's tough.
So I have this Funko Pop on the shelf here. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. Right, I have the movie moment of this because I like to collect the Star Wars movie moments. There's not a ton of them. There's like 10 of them. So I like to collect those, and this is one of them. And I have it on top of the Captain Phasma book on my shelf, and it's cool looking, and I like it. But like, is this memorable at all? No. I mean, like, it's not iconic at all. In fact, I feel like you could talk to a lot of Star Wars fans and be like, "Do you remember the Finn and Phasma fight?" And they'd be like, "They fought?" I just feel like it's not iconic. It's just something that happened in the movie. Like,
okay. I mean, I could see it. I would definitely rank it as a C or a D. I mean, I'd probably go with C just because at least there's some action behind it. But I get it. I mean, you're making a compelling case. I don't know if I could make a better one other than there's at least some action, some movement, some better cinematography. So, but let's go D for now. You made a good case.
Okay, we'll leave it. I accept that. Let's do
this.
Do you see what I'm grabbing?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you put it in the right spot. That's where, I mean, right there,
Yeah.
S-class, Anakin torching kids. I mean,
Anakin killing younglings. All right.
I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that why we all watch Star Wars? You know,
That's
just for Anakin
exactly
killing kids.
why we all watch Star Wars. Tyler,
So-
how iconic is the scene? Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What are we going to do?
I mean, very iconic. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be an S. It's not going to be an A. I mean, to me, I'd put this. I don't know, man. Oh man, where would I put this? Maybe a C because it's very
I
iconic.
would say because it's memorable. It is a memorable scene that again, people still talk about, people still reference, people still meme. You know, even 18 years after this movie came out, people still meme it. So yeah, I would say it's actually fairly iconic. You know,
for sure. And it's not like I think it's necessarily like people
good
now,
or cool or exciting,
right, or anything, but it's also not bad. I mean,
Yeah.
it shows his absolute turn to the dark side. He's about to slice through all these younglings. So I wouldn't put it as a D. And so it's really kind of like, okay, if it's not really an S or an A, it's a C or a B. Is it really on par with like a Vader versus Obi-Wan or like the Walker? Yeah, I'd say C is probably a fine place, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, okay, we'll live with that there. So what are we at here? 10, 11, 12 of these. What do you want to do? 20 of these? 20 of these and call it quits?
Yeah, and then we can just do 20 the next week and 20 the next week or whatever until we get, because there's a bunch of them. This is great.
Yeah, there's like 60 plus of them. So
yep.
All right. Oh, here's another great one.
The drinking milk. Well, I mean,
Tyler, you in your trip to Octo,
yeah,
you got to live that Luke Skywalker life, and you got to milk a Thalasiren. You got to drink the milk, and so I want to know what you think about this moment of Luke Skywalker squeezing alien boobs for green milk. What do you think?
Well,
how iconic was this?
So I did it, and I mean, first off, you have to get the technique down for squeezing the milk. First time I did it, it's getting all over the place, ruined my clothes. I'm cleaning my glasses, but once I got it down, I got it in the bottle fairly regularly and easily. What you forget is that stuff's coming out warm, right? That is body temperature warm, unpasteurized green milk. It's not good. I vomited almost instantly the minute it touched my lips. Yeah. So it really shows how long he's been on that island and how accustomed he is to that, because it's not tasty whatsoever. So now every time I see that, I do want to hurl from my own experience. So maybe I'm a bit biased. I would put this as a D. Don't know that there was really any reason for me to see that. Painful to watch given my own personal experience. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So again, it depends on the definition of what an iconic moment is, right? Mm-hmm. And it was anything like quote unquote iconic about this? No. But is it memorable? Yes. Because everybody knows the scene and how stupid it is.
Yeah, but I think that's a good differentiation. Iconic
between iconic, like, it's not iconic. We're gonna but
it's memorable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So D. We're gonna live with this as a D.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
All right, let's do a cool one. Let's do a really cool one.
What do you mean? That one wasn't cool?
Well, we ranked it as a D, so it was obviously one of the least cool we've seen. Well, I mean, here, now you're just picking another D. I mean, what a terrible, way too long. I'm like, let's get back to the dialogue, for goodness sake. This battle is taking way too long. I think that one, Obi-Wan
versus Anakin on Mustafar.
I mean, come on. One of the best duels in all of Star Wars. It has everything you want. It has the action, it has the choreography, it has the cinematography, it has the emotional impact. To me, this is an easy S. What are your thoughts?
I have nothing to add. That is absolutely, for me, the first S-class moment. And again, we have made arguments that others could be S-class moments. But to me, we're
trying to show restraint.
We are trying to show restraint. And I think it's important to point out, too, that this does not include the high ground ending, which is its separate moment in this particular tier ranking, which we have down as a C. This is just the battle itself in its entirety. Yep. Epic. This scene right here where the lava explodes, the way the music crescendos right there when they get to that stalemate and that pose right there. It's so absolutely fantastic. To me, it is absolutely an S class.
Yeah, because that's one where, like, if you show just a little few second clip of that scene to people who have, like, never watched Star Wars, it makes them want to check it out. They're like, oh, wow, like, that looks epic, right? Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it is. It's absolutely epic.
You're damn right it is. All right.
Damn right.
Let's keep... Yes. Tyler.
Oh, Babu Frick.
How iconic was the introduction of Babu Frick?
I mean, I think this is another easy S.
Hey!
But, hey! I mean, it's not an A. It's not a B. I mean, you're talking C or D, I think. So the question is just, is this just a D? Is there an argument you can make for why it would be a C?
Okay, so here's my argument as to why Babu Frick is a C.
Okay.
And the only argument I have, let's see if I can shrink that. Oh, there we go. The only argument is that he makes me smile.
He's fun.
That's it. Every time I see Babu and he's talking about C-3PO and he's like, oh, his brain, goes splat. And just, even at the end when he shows up on Zori's ship, how did him and Zori know to get off the planet before it exploded? Who cares?
You're thinking too much.
Yeah, we're thinking too much. But the fact that he pops up in the starship and he's like, hey! It's like,
it's so absurd.
How can you not smile?
But
how
it's
can
true.
you not smile?
But it makes you smile in spite of yourself. So, okay, that's fair. Let's call it a C.
C because
stick
it
a
makes
fork
me
and
smile.
it's done. Okay.
See, like the Luke Skywalker green milk scene is a D because when I see that scene, I think, Rian Johnson, damn it.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
That's what I think when I see that scene.
Okay.
So, Babu. All right, so we're good with Babu as a C?
Yeah, so how many are we at now? How many more do we have?
We got 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We're going to do 5 more. Five more before
okay.
we wrap this one. Okay. Oh, here we go. Luke.
Oh, come on.
No, I am your father.
Yep. That was, I don't know, maybe a B. Not really that big of a moment. I don't know. I think it's forgettable. You're like, oh, so it's his dad. Okay, no big deal.
Yeah.
Of course, this is an S, Justin. I mean, this is the moment of Star Wars. I mean, something that anybody who's never even seen Star Wars, if they know one thing about it or could name one line, it's "I am your father." Right? I mean, so it's not Luke.
A
I am
line
your
that
father.
most people would get wrong.
I am your father. It's true. Yep.
It's not Luke, I am your father. It's no, I am your father.
All right. Great. I just had Carrie watching these for the first time. She'd never seen them. And it's like, it's still such a powerful moment. Even when you know what's going to happen, the setting is absolutely beautiful that they did. Hamill still, I love this scream. Like, it's just this great, iconic moment. The iconic moment, right?
I agree. One of the most iconic moments in Star Wars. Absolutely an S-class moment. Anyone who disagrees is objectively wrong. Yes, absolutely wrong. So we have
you're entitled to your opinion, but you're wrong.
And it's wrong. Yes. And so now we have 2 S tiers. So we're up to 2. We're moving right along. So let's try to find another. I just like grabbing the funny ones. The death of Supreme Leader Snoke.
The death of Snoke. I mean, meh. Right? I mean, it's a bit shocking, but again, they just didn't do enough for that subversion of expectations, as we've talked about before, to pay off enough. And so, to me, I don't know if it's a D. Man, I feel like we're.
It could still come off as shocking, right? Because
exactly.
You're thinking that they're building Snoke up to be the new Emperor Palpatine or a version of him, of course.
Right.
And then Kylo Ren just kills him. Like, we finally see him in person. We get to his throne room and then he dies. Now, again, you can argue whether or not that's good writing. But ultimately, as far as an iconic moment, I guess it's not a D. But I could live with it as a C. But I still think even casual Star Wars fans, you could be like, hey, do you remember when Snoke died? I think people would be like, who's Snoke? You know what I mean? Like,
maybe. I don't know, because I think they were building Snoke. Like, Snoke was cool. I think It was just unfortunate we didn't get enough with him, and so the buildup didn't feel enough to justify like the surprise death. There wasn't a lot of payoff there, but I still think like it's a cool moment. It's neat how he's sensing what Kylo is going to do, but not realizing it's against him. It's a cool moment. The way he pulls the saber over, it's definitely shocking. So yeah, I mean, and like Jedi John thinks it's a B. I could definitely see that. I mean, it's a cool moment. I mean, is it? But I just don't know that I'd put it on par with, again, like the Obi-Wan and Vader. I don't know. I could see a B or C. It's definitely not a D for me, but I think C is probably where I would go. So is that where you're thinking?
I think it's a C or a D, and I can live with it as a C.
Okay, so Jedi John says he actually meant D. So okay, that makes more sense. I'm gonna say, because to me it's like, I see. I don't think it's a D, because I still think it's at least a surprising moment. Which makes it interesting. And I thought Snoke was still like had his moments. Like one of my favorites is when he shows up as the big hologram with General Hux, and like smashes him on the floor right away. Like they were building him up as something, and so that's a bit shocking. But yeah, it's still a bit lackluster. So C's probably. Yeah, it just says killed too easy. Yeah, exactly. It's just not enough build up for a character that they're trying to make like the Emperor. Like this is supposed to be the next Emperor, and then they're just starting to like make him cool, and then he's just gone. It's like, oh, well, what was the point of all that?
Right. So. All right, so three more. Okay. Let's grab 3 more here, and let's do.
Oh my goodness. That's an S, baby. An S for sand. File it under S for sand, because that's where that belongs.
Correct myself up. I don't like sand, Tyler.
Don't like
sand. Of course, and it gets everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Is this, Tyler, is this our third S tier moment?
I think it's got to be. I mean, this is the epitome of a love scene. I mean, when people are looking for how do we create a believable, strong, love interest between 2 characters, you think, well, Attack of the Clones, Anakin and Padme, Anakin talking about sand. I mean, it's iconic. It's memorable. My nipples are swelling up right now just thinking about it. I'm so excited, swelling up like golf tees. So I would say that, that has every ingredient you'd want out of a good love story. I'd say it's an S, no problem.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an S tier. I mean, George Lucas wrote the dialogue, right? Sure. Hayden Christensen delivered it beautifully. Yeah. Obviously we're being ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a D.
This is a D moment. Even the fact that it has become so memeable and I guess you could say maybe not iconic, but maybe infamous.
Infamous. Yeah, sure.
But it's a D as far as being an iconic. Yeah, meaning more than famous. No,
wow.
Wow,
that's infamous.
That's a Three Amigos reference, by the way. For those of you at home, if you haven't seen the Three Amigos, go watch it. It's awesome.
Yeah, what are you doing with your life? Go watch that right now. And then
go watch the Three Amigos.
Yeah, it's going to be like a young kid being like, that was a piece of crap. Like, well, you're wrong. It was great. 30 years ago.
2 more. I'll try to find a couple of better ones here. Okay, now here's one that I think could be... Okay, I'll do one more good one, and then one that I think could be controversial. So let's go. Let's go here. Okay. Well, one that maybe we'll argue. Maybe we'll have some different opinions on the spectrum.
Yeah. So far we've only had like one where we seem to disagree a little bit bigger. The rest of them we've kind of been in the same ballpark. But
yeah, I would agree. So what about Duel of the Fates? Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I mean, come on. That to me, that's an S-class all the way, no doubt about it. Darth Maul was freaking sweet. The dual lightsaber was absolutely epic. The choreography, stunning. The music added every bit of intensity that duel needed. It's beautiful. I mean, the one thing I think, as you would say, what's unfortunate is the scene where Obi-Wan kills Darth is too slow. They should have found a way to speed that up and make it seem like Darth Maul could have been more believably surprised. But you're talking about one scene throughout an entire battle that was just awesome. Just absolutely awesome. So to me, that's S. Yeah, John, SSS. I mean, yeah, I don't know how you argue anything other than that. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is an S-class, iconic Star Wars moment, the battle. You said the reveal of him and the dual lightsaber. and Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor and Ray Park, they all did such a fantastic job. Choreography is so great. And Obi-Wan himself proved himself to be a liar, as he clearly did not have the high ground on Darth Maul.
Right.
And yet very easily cut him in half. Now, I didn't say murdered him because, as we all know, in canon, Darth Maul survived being cut in half.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. If you're watching this, I assume for watching iconic moments, you know that. But so yes, again, the ending of the battles, I feel like, has just not always been done very well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Now it's kind of like
how
those
they end
ending
them.
scenes.
Yeah.
Yep. But again, I'm not going to hold it against this entire. This battle it's just amazing. It's great. I get excited every single time this comes on. Gotta stop what you're, if it's when you have it on the background, it's a stop what you're doing. It's time to watch this scene. Like, whew, that's so good.
Here we go. Last moment of the stream.
Oh, okay.
Now, here's one that I really want to see if we can get a debate going on this one.
Okay.
And it is the end of the Rise of Skywalker, the culmination of all 9 movies, the perhaps death of Emperor Palpatine. Who knows at this point?
Who knows?
They've turned into Marvel, and they'll find ways to bring characters back over and over and over. Right. But the Rey essentially taking on Palpatine, the dual lightsaber, blasting lightning back and destroying him for the final time, probably. What do you think this scene? How iconic is this scene?
Well, I took the last one. Why don't you take this one? I'm curious. So you think there's going to be disagreement here. What are your feelings?
Well, because I really think that this generally will go with however you feel about the sequels, right? But I do think it's fairly epic and fairly iconic. Now, I'll give a little bit of good, a little bit of bad. Again, it seems like to me a bit of a ripoff from Avengers Endgame. I am inevitable. I am Iron Man. I am all the Sith. I am all the Jedi. Okay. It's kind of like we need everyone now. It's just the biggest battle ever, and everyone who's ever existed in the universe is there. And then but I also don't necessarily like the way it kind of goes down. Like, one lightsaber is not enough, but now she has 2 lightsabers. And as Ryan George would say, that does the trick. and then Emperor Palpatine is always just blasting the Sith lightning off the lightsabers back into himself. Like, why doesn't he freaking stop?
Yeah,
like,
he's got to figure that out.
Stop shooting the lightning, bro. So it's like the writing is not the best, but the scene, if you just watch the scene and you have to like shut your brain off and just be like, enjoy the entertainment value of it, then it is, I think, fairly iconic. I like the silence before she grabs the second saber and everything kicks back on. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I like this. I don't love it. I don't hate it. But as far as an iconic Star Wars moment, I think, especially for sequels fans, it's going to be very iconic. I'm going to put it right in the middle and say it's a B. And maybe that's a cop-out. I'm not going to argue that this is an S moment. I don't think it's a D moment by any means. It is obviously a somewhat iconic moment. It's the end of the Skywalker saga, essentially.
Yeah, no, I'd say a B or C is definitely, like, I could see that. To me, it's not an A for the reasons you just alluded to, right? It's also not a D. I think it has too much entertainment value to be given a D. To me, it's a B or C. But yeah, I get why you think there's probably some, because I don't know. I had a lot of problems with it. I felt like there could have been some simple changes to make that absolutely great, to where we would for sure be putting it as like an A or a B, maybe even an S. Who knows, right? If they would have just made some simple changes. But with the way that it actually went down with the 2 lightsabers and Palpatine just kind of blasts himself again, I don't know. That really didn't do as much for me as I would have hoped, because that scene could have been so good, right? It's building up so much. Yeah. And so I think I feel so let down that, to me, I'd probably rank it a C, just because of that. But again, when we're looking at what we've ranked in the C, it's the Rancor, it's that do it, it's Anakin, killing younglings. I get having this higher than that.
Babu Frick, yeah.
So I don't know. I'd say if I were doing this alone, I could probably rank it as a C. and feel comfortable. But I don't think a B is a bad place. I would just say for sure it's not an A or an S for the reasons that we kind of already alluded to. I think there's too many weaknesses in it, but too entertaining not to be a D. So I don't know. I could do with that. Yeah, John thinks C with me, but again, you made a good case for why it could be a B. So I think either one of those positions could be fine. And again, we'll adjust as we go. We have 40 more of these to do over the coming weeks. And so I think once they start to pile up, if we do, because right now we have more in the C, but it's so early in the game, we'll have to see how it goes. Right. But like if it starts to feel like, we are piling up too much in one, maybe we need to rethink how we kind of, and then we can reassess some of these as we go. But so I'd say for now, I'm comfortable with a B. As we go, maybe we'll have to reassess that. But we can come back to it.
I think eventually, 2 weeks from now, we're going to get all these in there. We're going to have 45 C's, and we're going to be like, do we actually like Star Wars?
Well, no, I think...
I know. I'm just saying.
I know. But based on when you're ranking something, right? In fact, the distribution we have makes sense, right? What would you expect for anything good? You'd kind of expect a Gaussian distribution where you'd expect very few bad moments and then a few really good moments. And you'd expect most things to be kind of somewhere in the middle.
That's kind of what we have there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, if you look at it, that's kind of what we have. In fact, we have a little more in the S, but again, we're only a third of the way through. A lot to go. And then I think once we get a little deeper, especially after I think next week, once we have 40 in there, we'll have a better feel of kind of how we're doing this and see if we have to adjust some of these. Because again, some of these we've even talked about could very easily be switched. So we'll see if we have to reassess. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good right now. That was fun.
Yeah, we're trying to speed rank these. We're trying to get up there as fast as we can. There's a lot of them. We'll keep this going maybe next week and maybe the week after, and then we'll fill the board, and then we can kind of step back, look at it, see if we want to readjust anything. But right now, I'm pretty comfortable with everything we have up there. I think everything's in a pretty good spot.
All right. Yeah. So we'll come back to it next week. Thank you, chat, for your lovely advice. It's fun when other people are participating too, to get some outside perspective too on how they're feeling. So it makes it fun. We're all having a discussion on where we think these should be put. So that was great. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. So we'll continue this next week. Before we go, thank you, as always, to all of our patrons, all of our Nerd Level 1, 2, and 3 patrons, and, of course, our council member, Templar Pops. We appreciate you guys so much and all of your support. If you're interested in becoming a patron of the channel, there is a link down in the description. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you disagree with anything that we put up there, feel free to put it in the comments down below. But just know that if you disagree, Tyler, they're objectively wrong.
You're just wrong.
You're just wrong. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.